The notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, advertised on January 4th, 2018. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger, formally posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk, informing the public the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Good evening.
At this time, I would like to interrupt the regular order of business to swear in a new police officer. Chief Wright, would you please step forward? Mr. Morales, would you please step forward? That's why you moved the gun. Okay, I just want to make sure. I state your full name.
I, Edwin Rocky,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution
that I support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States,
in the United States,
in the state, under the authority of the people,
under authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I impartially and unjustly
perform all the duties of the office
perform all the duties of the office
of police officer,
of police officer,
effective 2/7/2018, according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you want, no, this is a big one, we already did it.
Mike.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to call forward Mike Baines of the New Jersey American Water Company to make a presentation to the public.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents. As the Mayor stated, my name is Mike Baines, and I am the Operations Manager for New Jersey American Water. And going to do a little presentation of an investment that we're going to be putting into the town of Garwick. New Jersey American Water is investing $3 million into the township to improve the infrastructure that's currently there. So we're just going to give you some highlights of the areas we're going to be working on. We have a little communication that I handed out to the council if you guys have a chance to take a look at it. We'd also like to give this out to the residents. We're going to drop these at your house also, all the areas that are getting work done. And we also have a mailer that's going to go out to everybody also. So this is the mailer that will be coming in the mail also to the area residents that are affected. I'll just call out the list of streets that we're going to be working on. Center Street Spruce Street, Myrtle Avenue, New Street, Fifth Street, Locust Street, Pine Avenue, Hazel Avenue, Hickory Avenue, East Street, and Oak Street. I have with me 2 copies of the maps for the different, that name out the different streets in purple. They're up here for anybody that wants to take a look at them. And I always bring this picture because it kind of says 1,000 words, basically. Is currently, this is what the main looks like in front of most of your homes. You see the right-hand side. This is what it's going to look like when we're done. So we're going to improve fire flow. We're going to improve flow to your homes. Everybody's going to get new services. We're going to be putting in new hydrants, new valves, full upgrade to the system, so that your infrastructure will be in A1 shape. Any questions on this?
Does council have any questions of Mr.
I noticed that Hemlock isn't included. That's because were they done when Cranford was recently done?
Right, so there's 2 streets in this area that are not going to be done, and that is Willow Avenue, which we did all new pipe there a couple years ago. And then Hemlock, yes, we got our 16-inch main on Hemlock, and that's not going to be touched either.
Okay.
And then there's a small piece of New Street and a small piece of Oak that's already cast cement line pipe, so we won't have to touch those areas too. So the communication we brought tonight, if you'd like, we can hand it out to the residents. Basically kind of explains the job itself, the project itself. I have my inspector here with me tonight, RJ. RJ's phone number is on this, so if you have any questions or concerns, RJ will be there for you. Also, my number's here with the town. If they need to get a hold of me, they know how to get a hold of me too. So, and also I have Fletcher Kramer here as our contractor that's going to be doing the work. That's Jason from Fletcher Kramer.
At this time, does the residents have any questions?
Can I get Jason's phone number?
Sure.
And also, just a couple locations on that, you take that to the office.
Mike, just for the residents, because we had spoken about it at the last meeting, the second portion that you're starting in the summer where the pipes will be above ground, you have agreed to do it, wait until after Garwood Rocks?
Yes,
So
after your street
that's
fair.
taken
Right.
care of?
Exactly. So what's going to happen is, starting next week, we're going to be coming in and renewing the services to everybody's home in the area in question. So everybody's going to get a brand new service from the main that's currently existing to behind the curb. We're going to be putting meter pits in, and eventually later on, your meters will be moved from the inside of your home to the outside of your home. Once that project's all done, and after the street fair is over, then we will go in, and basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting above ground water mains in. They're plastic pipes. They'll be protected and flagged with cones. That's what going to be your water is coming from. We'll have water there and fire protection out of those pipes. Once the pipes are installed, they get flushed, fluorinated, sent to our lab for testing. Nothing gets turned on until we get our test results back. And then we'll have fire setups for the fire departments to tie into basically their hydrants off of it, stubs that come off of it for hydrant connections.
Mike,
Yeah.
can I ask you to go over what you said at the last council meeting as we disturb a street that may be relatively new that we paved and you would repave such and such? Can you?
Sure. So we have a list of streets that are in moratorium. And basically what's going to happen is those streets that are in moratorium are going to get paved curb to curb, back to the original condition. Center Street, for example, that was just paved a couple years ago? Just months ago, okay? That's going to get, I know it's a shame that we have to dig into new roads, but the only way we can do this infrastructure improvement is by doing that. But when we're done and the restoration's complete, you're going to have a brand new road there, back to the original condition it was. So there's a Beach Avenue, Hickory Avenue, Maple Street, Myrtle Avenue, Oak Street, 3rd Avenue, West Street, Willow Avenue, and Willow Avenue? Yeah, and Willow Avenue. So those streets will be paid back to their original condition because they're in moratorium. And then all the restoration at the end will be complete. Where there's grass area, that'll be new topsoil and seed, everything will be planted. There should be no issues. If you have a concern, you have RJ's number, we can get right back out there and fix anything that you're not happy with.
Mike,
Yep.
I just have some notes as well. They might be the same as Ms. Ariana, but
Okay, am I correct?
yes.
Okay. So basically what we'll do is we'll take these back, I'll correct them tomorrow, and then we'll get them out to the residents.
Mike,
And I'll
I think
send
we
you
have
all a copy.
A resident has a question.
Like the streets that are not under moratorium, how will they be restored?
Right now, we're looking at doing infrared. Infrared, all those,
Half the street or just patch?
just the patches.
Just the patch?
Right.
Cut back from the actual excavation.
Right.
Overboard.
Yeah, we'll make the excavation a little bit bigger, and then infrared it in, yeah.
Mike, just, sorry, if you could just, I know you went over this last time, but I think it would be helpful to just, again, just go over the timeframe from start to finish.
Okay. So the game plan is to start next week renewing all the services. Once the services are renewed, we're going to put a whole plan on everything. Once the street fair is over in, I think that's the first week of June. Once that's over, then we're going to come out and start putting the above ground piping in, and then making the excavations at each intersection where there's a hydrant. All those have to be dug up because there's valves in those locations, and they have to get all replaced. Everything will be plated until we get all the work done. Then we're going to come in with the cement line, the
3M.
3M liner, polyurea. That's going to go through the existing main that's there. And it's, as you see the picture, this is what it'll look like when it's done. And then what we do is we tie everything back in, we fill it, gets flushed, tested, sampled, and once that's clean, then we can start transferring everybody back to the new main and take you off the bypass. Once that's done, we'll remove the bypass, then we'll start coming in and do temporary restoration. We're going to let it set for a month or two, let it settle out the ground. Once that's complete, we'll come in and do the final restoration. So we're looking somewhere, I would say, Jason, help me, somewhere in October,
Yeah, the final restoration.
September,
Yeah,
October?
October, probably.
Probably October for the final restoration.
Mike, one more question before you sit down. Last meeting, you talked about any homeowner that has a lead pipe or galvanized pipe coming into the house.
So currently, you may have galvanized plumbing in your home that's coming out. You're responsible from the inside of your home to the shut-off at the curb. If that is galvanized, we're going to replace that line with updated with copper. Am I correct, Jason?
Yes.
We'll put copper, new copper in that, so you'll get an upgrade on your current service if you have an older galvanized or lead service line. For the most part, I think there may be some galvanized, but I don't think there's any lead currently.
Galvanized is the older.
The
stuff?
older stuff,
So
yeah.
for residents who have replaced their plumbing from the curb to the house,
We're gonna tie into that.
right, and that shouldn't be a
No,
problem.
you won't have a problem with that. Yeah.
So resident over there that has a question?
So is it my understanding you're replacing the feeder from the house to the now the shut-off valve at the curb?
If it's galvanized,
If it's galvanized?
if it's galvanized. Most of them today are copper. You might have, some people may have plastic. We won't know until we obviously dig up and see what we actually are dealing with.
And what's the process for doing that for residents? Is that trenching or is that,
I'm gonna let
It all depends on landscaping and everything else. Ideally, we'd like to pull the service, get it up to the house, and then transfer it over to the inside. But we try to do as little trenching as possible, but it all depends on driveways and where the actual service runs, concrete. We try not to dig into anything like that that's hardscape.
But whatever is excavated will be put back to the original condition.
Yes,
If we
absolutely.
take a sidewalk out, you're getting a new sidewalk in that place. If we dig up your front lawn, you're getting all new front lawn put in, topsoil and seed. after that's done. If you have sod there, you'll get sod put back in. Whatever is there now is going to be back. If we have to get into some of the landscaping issues, we will address those as we go and take care of all your landscape needs, bushes. Hopefully there's no trees involved, but sometimes we will run up against a tree.
Do you take photos before the project?
Yes, everything's photoed, videoed, and then we have that for any questions that come out later on.
What's your backfill of the trenches going to be consistent?
It's whatever the town requires, but typically it's DGA,
Yeah.
compacted and lifts, then a base and top.
So when we get into...
One more question.
Yeah, Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow, which you did my service already, so I appreciate it. You kind of infringed upon the parking spot with the hydrant. But, you know, Public Services also has a program where they're replacing their gas lines with high-pressure gas lines, because all the service is going to be increased, I don't know what, a couple pounds, I guess, in the street, and they're doing a lot of digging. Are you aware of that?
I'm not
I'm not saying it's happening in Garwood, but...
I know that it's going on all over the different townships because the gas company is also improving their infrastructure also.
Right. Yeah, they're increasing the pressure.
Right, a lot of the meters are getting moved to the outside and,
Yeah,
that's going on in a
plastic
lot of the
lines that
towns.
can handle like a higher
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I mean, I guess nothing's on the horizon for Garwood then with that. If he's going to be paving roads,
Actually, I spoke to the gas company very recently, and they're under a 9-year plan to, remove these low-pressure mains, and there's going to be an impact to Garwood. They're going to know shortly and submit that to the town. Okay. So that's a parallel project.
and you mentioned that just the Garwood portion of your water restoration is going to be $3 million.
Yes.
But where's that $3 million going to come from?
Good question. Currently, you have a water bill that you have what is called a DISIC charge. That's a distribution service fee that's put on the water bill. We take that funding, and that's spread out for all the customers across the states, state of New Jersey, and that's where we get the funding to do these projects. Also, when we go in for rate increases, the Board of Public Utilities has to approve all this. We just can't go in tomorrow and say, I'm raising your bill $100 to pay for this project. Everybody shares in the work that we do for infrastructure replacement.
The paving, who's going to be doing that? Such
Jay
crew?
Fletcher.
Okay, so you're going to do the lining of the pipes,
Correct.
the trenching, and then the paving of the roads.
Restoration.
Full restoration. Yeah.
Oh, are they on waivers to the, or is it like a public bid?
It's a contract bid we have with Fletcher.
Oh, okay, so it's competitive.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I've heard you guys, don't be a problem.
Yeah, any work that we do, we have to go out to bid. RFP goes out to all the different vendors, and we get the best aggressive pricing we can get to share that amongst our customers.
All right, and I guess you're going to give a 1-year bond for all street penetration.
We have a bond already with the township.
You have to, by the way, all the penetrations, I know we have like a, I don't know, $35 per penetration cost. Is there a fee or something for that?
There is
Per
a
street?
road opening fee that we pay, and it's part of the permit price.
So you're going to be paying something.
We're paying to open up your roads.
We're gonna pay, I'm coming to change over, my
Yeah.
other question.
Sure.
Will
Thank you.
the
You're welcome.
relocation of the water mains outside on the curb cause any parking issues for residents on those streets?
Should not. Basically, you're looking at a 4-inch line.
2-inch and 4-inch.
Yeah.
plastic
2 inch and
line.
4 inch.
Because you know parking is a problem here
Yeah,
as it is.
and we've done this in, downtown Branford, we've done it in a lot of Fanwood, so a lot of people are familiar with it. We try to take up the least amount of room with these size pipes.
It's right along the curb line. You'll see, the only thing that you'll see is sticking out of the pipe will be another smaller pipe where the service comes out into your new meter pit, the temporary feed. And we'll have a cone delineator at each one of those, but when you park right up against it, still right on the curb line, it's not a problem. You just don't want to drive over the top of it. The pipe will hold, but you just don't want to hit that service.
Right.
And we have someone on 24/7 standby. Phone number will be distributed through to the police department, through the town, and if anything comes up, the person comes out and fixes anything they need to fix.
Great.
Also, if we're crossing over driveways, there will be a rubber coating that goes over the top of it, so you can drive over the top of the pipe to go into your driveway.
There's gonna be a hump on top of the driveway?
What happens is, that here's the pipe, it may go across your driveway, there's a special ramp that gets put over it, it's like a double-sized ramp, so you just drive right over. And actually, you're not driving on the pipe, you're driving on the rubber protected mat that's on top of the pipe.
What does that look like?
So if you have the pipe, picture the pipe right along the front of your driveway along the curb line, and then on the front of that, where it blends into the road, it's maybe 18 inches wide, and it just basically transitions from the road to the top of the pipe, so you come up over it into your driveway.
I'll have to look up a picture of that.
It's not bad.
What?
So it's not too bad.
So what do you think is not too bad?
One last
Yep.
thing, Mike, and I think a resident has a question as
Sure.
well,
Yeah,
but,
an easy question.
as far as the materials go, the door hanger, about when do you think that will go out, now that we've had this meeting tonight?
We'll make the corrections tomorrow.
If I can't get the notifications out tomorrow, it'll be Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week, later this week?
Oh, yeah, this
But I
week.
should-
Okay, very good.
I guess I should be able to get it distributed starting tomorrow.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Just
want
make
to
sure
make
you
sure.
want an email.
Yep, you'll
And
get
then-
one as soon as you'll be the first one I email.
Okay.
So we'll put it on the borough website, Ms. Aaron?
Yeah.
As soon as I get it.
Okay.
I'll do that.
And then that
the-
board
the
that you
ma-
have?
And then the mailer will be going out.
The mailer has to get sent to the printing company, and then what we do with the mailer is we actually send it to more people than just the affected area. We've sent it to more, the west side of Center Street, so everybody in the area also knows what's going on as well. But that'll happen in about 2 weeks.
Very good. And then that board that you brought that shows the before and after of the pipe, are you leaving
Yep.
that there, or can we at least snap a photo?
You can
I think
snap a
that's
photo,
very
that's what
telling.
I take this to all my
Okay,
towns.
that's your model. We don't want you to have to spend more to make a model for every town, so we'll just,
If you want to take a shot of that, sure.
yeah. Ms. Arian, you mind doing it?
I didn't bring my phone.
Okay.
We can take a picture and email.
Okay,
to you
that's fine.
tomorrow.
Email's fine.
I will email you a picture of it.
Thanks.
Mike, one more question.
Sure.
Real simple, when I see these projects, I mean, there's a lot of pipes that are like day glow orange, that's just for, I guess, be careful, watch out.
Yeah, we spray paint everything orange, the above ground piping, just for people to see it.
Yeah.
Easier.
And now, like, there's delineator little cones at every.
Delineators sticking up everywhere, just to make people aware of it.
Right. Safety is a big thing for us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
How you doing, Mike?
How you doing?
I had the experience of the work being done last year on the 500 block of Locust Avenue.
Okay.
You didn't reline, you put a new main in
Brand new main in.
on the 400 and the 500 block. And I happened to be one of the lucky ones that had a fire hydrant in front of my house. And like a year or two before that, you guys were there also to replace the fire hydrant. What kind of precautions do you take when you rip up tree roots?
As far as when we're doing excavation and we rip some of the tree roots out?
Yeah, because when you did it in front of my house, the town had just planted a nice little flowering tree there. They ripped the roots out of the ground, and they're still at the ground.
Okay.
And when you did your landscaping work, they did not spread topsoil. They did not rake. They just threw seed down and hay on top. You could go there tomorrow and look at it, you will still see roadstone on my front lawn.
Okay. Can you give me your address? I'll get that fixed right away. I wish we would have known sooner.
Mayor? They know I complain
Yes.
Okay.
I'll pass it on to you.
about
Yeah, if you
utility
could give me
work all
the,
the time,
yeah.
you know.
The last thing I want to do is make anybody unhappy.
Notifications. I had gotten my doorbell rung in the morning to move my vehicles, because I happened to park one on each side of the fire hydrant at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 7:15 ding dong to move my vehicles. I mean, are you really gonna give people notice?
We're going to be handing these out door to door, so you'll know the project's coming. We will notify you when we're going to be working in front of your home. Like, that's the simple thing we can do. When we get closer to your area, we'll make sure you know that. We're going to ring your doorbell and ask you, like, You may have to move your vehicle, whatever they need to do to get access. That's typical on everyone's home, you know.
When you did it last year, that was, the notifications and everything were good last
Yeah.
year. But previously, before that, the notifications has been horrible. And
That's what we're trying to improve with the communication and coming to these meetings and talking to everybody. More communication is better, I think.
and Fletcher Kramer was your contractor.
Yep.
Back then, they did.
Okay.
Both times.
Well, again, we apologize for any inconveniences that may have caused. Obviously, we're going to do better this time. And if you have an issue, you'll have RJ's number, and RJ can get a hold of me. If I have to stop out, I'll be glad to come out, whatever we need to do. The last thing I want to do is make you guys unhappy. You know, we're investing a lot of money here, and I want to make sure that it goes well, the job itself, the project itself.
And I know you got Fletcher Kramer doing your job. You have your inspectors watching them. This may be a question for mayor and council. Do we have anybody watching them to make sure that it's being done the way it's supposed to be?
We can
Or do
certainly,
they just keep,
we can
you know,
certainly,
like I've been
I'm
saying in
gonna
the
sit out
past?
there all day, but we can certainly
Okay.
do some construction observation, absolutely.
Just a suggestion, if you guys know, like 48 hours in advance, what street you're gonna be on, perhaps we could help you by posting no parking signs.
Yep.
To eliminate some of that ringing people's bells at 7 AM, because I know if that were me, ring my bell at 7 AM, I wouldn't even answer it. So maybe that would help eliminate some
Yeah,
of
well,
that.
what we can do is, as we get to the streets, and I'll go over this with RJ, obviously, we're gonna set it up and try to go one street at a time, but you may have crossover when we're moving to the next street. What we'll do is we can get notices out to those.
Yeah, and you guys
Those
can email me,
residents.
say, it's Tuesday, on Thursday, we're gonna be on Locust. I let the police know, we throw some signs. It might help eliminate a couple.
Sure.
Glitches.
Yeah.
Any more questions of the audience?
Can't Garwood Rocks be, the date be changed or the location? I mean, this I feel is kind of important.
It goes, the Garwood Rocks is through the Westfield Chamber of Commerce, so I don't know.
And they're already having
It's not
meetings.
from the town, so.
Right.
It's not gonna be a problem in the schedule, though we're gonna work around it, so. At that, the biggest phase we're gonna go through now is when we start doing services. After the services are done, we're gonna give the time to get that part done, because we have over 300 services to install, so that's gonna take us some time. Hopefully, we're done by that time, and we're ready for the next phase. So I don't think we're gonna have an issue with that. Plus, we don't work on Sundays.
Okay.
So,
Anyone else?
What is that stuff in the pipe? You know, that rusty phosphate?
tuberculation. It's an unlined cast iron pipe, and you add water to it, and like anything else, metal rusts, right? So that's what it is. It's a calipation that builds up inside the pipe over time.
So that's not like hard minerals, it's more like rust, you're saying?
Yeah, minerals rust. What happens is it just coats and starts growing outside the main itself, inside. So just over the years, you can see how it closes up. Yeah. The new pipe today that we install, it's ductile iron pipe and it's cement lined inside. So you don't get that issue. This is pre-war, around World War II pipe that we're talking about.
Mike, let me just hit you with one more question.
Sure.
I know it's gonna come about probably over a phone call from a resident. While you're doing this construction, you're gonna have backhoes on the street, you're probably gonna have dumpings of some type of dirt or backfill. Is that gonna take up somebody's parking spot, and will you get a complaint that way?
When we excavate, all the excavation is put into a dump truck and trucked out. So when we leave there at night, the area gets cleaned, swept up.
Correct. Well, the construction yard in the nearby area, we haven't figured that out yet, but we'll have one that for everything will park overnight.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Seeing none? Thank you for joining us again. It's a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
We'll take this back and get this fixed and sent out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Okay. We'll continue on with our regular business. Ms. Ariema?
Want to keep one of them? I'm sorry,
Please.
want to keep one of these or both of
Please.
these? I mean,
Sure.
Yes.
You want to go to
Executive session, that's correct.
Closed session resolution authorizing an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation and contract negotiations concerning the Garland Sports and Recreation Complex, contract negotiations concerning Roaring Valley Sewage Authority, redevelopment of North Avenue and South Avenue Phase 2, and matters attorney-client privilege relating to and above in accordance with NJSA 10-412, closed session meetings open to the public, exclusion of public, subject of matter, whereas it is necessary for the mayor and council of Borough Borough to conduct an executive session close to the public in order to discuss the above listed matters. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the Borough Borough hereby moves to go into executive session in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act for the purpose of discussing subject stated above and be further resolved that the matters discussed in and the minutes of the closed session shall be disclosed to the public when the reason of confidentiality no longer exists.
We have a motion for executive session.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariema.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman McCormick.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
And Council President Blumenthal.
Aye.
Action may be taken.
Action will be taken, we'll run back to regular meetings, so, yeah.
Action from executive session. That's
Maybe,
fine.
maybe not, but,
May be taken.
yeah.
Okay.
Very careful.
Well, I can't,
I'll say something right now, if I shut it off, there's no doubt that I feel.
I wouldn't put that in
Did
there.
one person fall out? Once or twice? Once.
The same person who always wrote it backwards at the end.
Different awards and successes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Renard, do you have anything further for us this evening?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Ariema?
Nothing.
Okay, unfinished business? Any new business? I have a couple of things, I'll try to keep it under 3 minutes. I've attended the Union County Mayor's meeting on January 30th, 2018, held at the Clark Town Hall. The agenda was as follows. Guest speaker Mike Sierra from New Jersey League of Municipalities. His discussion was about the New Jersey State Bill B-3, which transfers management of the Police and Fire Retirement Fund to the Board of Trustees of the Police and Fire Retirement System. After a lengthy discussion and vote, pen was given to a letter titled Union County Mayors for Balanced Board Composition on Pension Transfer Legislation. The Union County mayors strongly believe that the board should be balanced between labor and management while providing for an independent voice for tight-breaking decisions if needed. The second guest speaker was Senator Scutari, talked about legislation on marijuana. This legislation is still a work in progress. There's many questions to be answered in the future. Some issues were discussed were such as potential impact and effect on municipal budgets, safety, and employment concerns. After multiple handouts were distributed and discussed, at the end of the discussion, the mayors in attendance agreed to draft a letter as follows. The Union County mayors call for legalization of marijuana revenues to be constitutionally dedicated to New Jersey pension plan. The third item was the Oprah requests that are being increased in the state. The bill has no support anymore and has passed, is died, and now there's no legislation to support that. It is, if it resurfaces, the mayor's concerned with the resources and the financial costs associated with that. The fourth item is the Union County Animal Shelter. The county recognizes the significance of the animal control issues facing each of its municipalities. The county understands the benefit of a county-wide shared facility. Over the last 23 months, the county staff has spent a great deal of time locating an appropriate site for the county-wide shelter. They examined over a dozen potential locations and settled on a parcel of land located at the Union County Conservation Center in Springfield. The county has submitted the required applications and other documents to the DOT so they may grant permission to use the site for animal shelter. The county remains committed to working with the state to gain the final approvals that are necessary. After all that being reported, I wanted to show the handouts I gathered at the Union County Mayor's meeting. I personally like to thank former Councilman Walt Tucker for taking the time out of his busy schedule to attend the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition Mayor's Task Force meeting due to a conflict of rescheduling the planning board meeting. A draft resolution indicated the following. All peak hours on the Raritan Valley trains currently terminated at Newark Penn Station and riders destined to Midtown Manhattan and Penn Station, New York must transfer from trains and platforms. Significant train-oriented development in towns on the Raritan Valley line have increased ridership over time. A regional plan association study estimates that one side service will allow a 35-minute reduction in commuting by eliminating the need to transfer to Newark and Penn Station. Also noted in the study was an estimate that for every minute saved on the morning commute to Manhattan, nearby home value would increase by $3,000. We should all call upon the Commissioner of Transportation of New Jersey to undertake the test of examining the potential from the Raritan Valley Coalition and Mayor's Task Force 1-seat ride. They also asked that New Jersey Transit and New Jersey Legislature at the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd districts support their findings. It is necessary to implement the 1-seat ride service on the Raritan line. At this time, I'd like to suggest that we accept the invitation we received from Roy Valley to visit their facility. Hopefully we can select a date and time that would be acceptable to all. I would be happy to be the point person at that event. Last but not least, my next Mayor's Saturday will be held this Saturday, February 17th, at Gold's Fitness Gym at 475 North Avenue. The event will start at 11 a.m. I have invited Councilman Mark Lazaro to join me. Please stop by to discuss concerns or just chat with us. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Okay, moving on to comments or matters of discussion from members of the council. Council President Blumenthal.
If I may, Mayor, just a
Yes.
quick question. With the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition and communicating with the DOT Commissioner, would it be helpful if the Garwood Council sends a letter there, or was there anything in particular they were looking for us to do?
Yes, I would answer your question as yes, and I will also pass the draft resolution on to the council.
Okay, I'm all for it, always
Okay.
have been.
Not a problem.
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to speak about ordinance 18-02 and resolution 18-074, which you find on the agenda. And that resolution coincides with the ordinance regarding the salary of the public works foreman. It does seem to me that when there's some friction up here, it's usually related oftentimes to the public works department, whether it's about salary or hiring or maintenance of equipment. It feels like the most contentious discussions really come when there's something on the table about the DPW. And I'm not really sure why that is. It doesn't seem to be that way in regards to any other department. And the DPW is certainly a crucial service for Garwood, and residents obviously are fiercely protective of the department. I hope that we can soon move past this and start to come together and treat this department the same way that we do all the other departments in our borough. But that being said, I am going to ask the council if they would agree, following the public hearing, to table the ordinance and resolution regarding the salary increase. It's always my goal when we council members come together, whenever possible, on different issues placed in front of us, that we can come together on them. It's not always possible, I know, but if I can try to get us there, I certainly will. And while I wasn't in agreement with the tone of the discussion at the last meeting, I do recognize that some of you felt that this ordinance should go to finance. And so I'm okay with doing that. The Finance Committee will be meeting actually twice before the next council meeting to discuss the budget. And so to help get the committee on the same page, I'd like to go over the increase with them, as well as discuss where in the budget I believe the money for this increase can and should be found. I do recognize that in order to maintain a stable budget, that I do see the reality that for every dollar spent requires a dollar saved, and I am committed to that. I pledge to this council that the just under $7,000 needed for this salary increase can and will be found in savings from specific areas already in our budget, and I will lay that out to the committee. As I said last week, this comes down to equity for me, and our employees should be paid a fair and equitable wage. And I know that Garwood is not and should not be a town that doesn't value each employee in the workforce in every department. But I recognize that a further discussion with finance and tabling the issue till next meeting would provide my fellow council members with more information to help them with this decision, and I do think that's the way to go. So, thank you. Mayor.
I'd just like to say a few words. I support the ordinance 1802 in principle. I think it's a good ordinance. But also, as you indicated, I think it's better served the discussions at the Finance Committee to go forward with that issue. So, thank you. Okay. Councilman Kukrow.
Yes, I have a lot, so please be patient and don't gavel.
Is it under 3 minutes?
No, it's
Okay.
not supposed to be 3 minutes. All right, I have a couple things here. Number one, I know we spoke about it at previous council meetings. It was about the underpass with the decorations. So I think that did go to your committee, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, we still have to find out
Well,
whether
the thing is-
Westwood Cranford got that for free. I still don't have confirmation.
Well,
on that.
basically, as long as the DPW gets certified, that's all they had to really do. So I don't want us waiting until Christmas of this year, then saying it was too busy to move forward. So I'm thinking
I'll
about.
check in on that.
All right, on that particular.
If I just may comment real quick, don't forget, we also talked about buying a new piece of decorations. So.
Okay, oh, well, which comes to my next thing. The manger that used to be in Borough Hall, it's gone, right? There used to be one here, and I think the last mayor said that it was stored and it got ruined. So I'm making a proposal here tonight that with Councilman McCormick's largesse, he is agreeing to build a manger, and I have somebody that's already going to donate the materials to do that. So I'm assuming everybody would agree to that?
I definitely would.
We have consensus?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
So what, I'm sorry, what precipitated the, I'm fine with that, I'm just asking, like, what is
Well,
the rationale?
a resident mentioned it to me, and I said, you know, I never even thought about it. And she said she asked a couple years ago, and the ex-mayor said that it was ruined in storage, and it was just never taken care of. So since Councilman McCormick offered to build it, and a friend of mine said she'll buy the material, I see no reason why we can't take care of that.
Just wondering if the way you put it makes it sound like it got ruined while it was in storage.
Mhm.
Was it intended to go out each year, or was there a reason why it would not have been put up? or
Well, you'd
anything
have
like
to
that?
ask the old mayor. I wouldn't know that.
By that you mean Mayor Petrocchi?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think we stopped putting it up years ago. 'Cause
What?
there's a lot of controversy, people complain,
About what?
religious.
Religious, well, there's a menorah out.
Well, the menorah came later, much
Mhm.
later, and I can't tell you in my mind why I remember not seeing the activity center.
Well, this is what I was told, and this is what
Yeah,
this
so I
person was
don't know
told.
when one ended and when the other began, but they were never both put out together. That's what should have been done.
Well, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, if somebody's willing to build it and
Like, I
somebody's
haven't
willing
seen
to
the
buy it.
major out in,
Well, it hasn't been out.
Then I'm assuming
Really,
someone's
many
gonna buy
years.
the figures to go with it?
Yeah, somebody will take care of the materials.
I
That
guess,
wasn't the question.
I guess from my perspective, I'm personally not offended at all by a major, but I know that obviously, what Tina brings up, which is the idea that if a few years ago, it does create more controversy over one person's request to add the manger. Is that something that the town is asking, generally, the majority of the town is asking us for that? Because I think you kind of go down that slippery slope, right? If one person asks for a manger, could someone who celebrates another holiday ask for another holiday thing to be put up? So I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I just wonder if we should think a little bit more carefully about this before we move right ahead.
Well, it was something that should have been replaced.
Well, I don't, nobody asked me, but there are requirements that have to do with religious displays. There's a lot of cases on the issue. So what we need to do is have a plan, not just decide to build whatever religious display anybody suggests, but to have a plan for how, if you're going to have an ecumenical religious display, where that's going to take place and how. And if not, I can tell you that you can't just have a religious display of one religion. And there is some danger that once you start with encouraging religious displays, and a lot of towns do, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it's something to consider, because then you have to essentially include anything that anybody suggests as a religious display. But I think we have to start with a plan for where these things would go, when they would be displayed, and how.
Whoever thought, but Mayor, maybe you could spearhead this and maybe move forward on it. I mean, basically, they were bringing up that it just, what was there before was just not replaced. You know, so, I mean, you know, that's all it is. I
Haven't we
don't,
put out a menorah last 3 years or 4 years?
It's been up there years, I don't know.
Well, yeah, so I mean, we are
When it
putting
was
out
that
one
plastic one that
religious, expression.
well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I got both. I have menorah at home. I have plenty of everything,
That's
you
why I
know,
think we
so.
could put out the menorah, we'll put out the,
Yeah, what I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
he's not saying
it's
no.
gotta be, if you're going to have religious displays.
we already have one,
Well-
we put the menorah out, it's there.
Okay, well, maybe I haven't noticed it, I don't know, and it hasn't been discussed at a meeting, so,
No, it
I
wasn't.
mean, I'm not with the world's most,
But it's big, it is out there.
On that note, I'll spearhead the committee or
Yeah, it's
get the
beautiful.
information that's appropriate and report
Bill
back.
spearhead, okay, and, was that it on that, because I have more, so don't go away yet. All right, so that was, the underpass was taken care of, the manger, okay. Now, also, I'd like to tell everybody that, we had a subcommittee meeting 2 weeks ago up in Franklin, North Jersey. It was 8 people from all over New Jersey, Cranford, Garwood, Hopewell, and Franklin. We had a conference call with Holly Shapizi, who was one of the authors of these bills that I'm going to basically give everybody a copy, and I would like to introduce going forward. To pass the address the problem of overdevelopment and the overreach of fair share housing. These are some of the real problems we are facing as a state, and nothing seems to be able to be done about it as people continue to move out. There are environmental issues with the large projects going on everywhere. Suez Water Company that serves the northern parts of New Jersey did a study regarding New Jersey running out of water by 2020. The Sierra Club, by their own admission, came out and stated all of this high density will increase New Jersey greenhouse gases 45% to total pollution. Also, there is a loss of habitat and green space. There are 6 Senate and 8 Assembly bills that want to restructure the high density and COA combination issues. One major concern is to make this a statewide obligation, not just townwide. Most importantly is to eliminate the builder's remedy, focus on public-private partnerships, and address seniors' issues. There is an issue where market rate units are getting the pilot with COA units, and this should not be. Political involvement has mostly been by Republicans, but there are also prominent Democrats that are on board and recognize high density will impact our quality of life in New Jersey and understand it needs to be fixed. Eminent domain is being used to take profitable and viable businesses that do not sell, that they do not want to sell. 90% of what is going on is for profit, which was not the objective of the COA madness. Abbott districts are giving pilots to the developers, which are actually building 100% market rate units, and these projects have no COA since the town is considered predominantly low income already. By COA regulations, it has directed all further high density have a certain percentage of low income. But since these areas which are already mostly low income, FSHA calculated what the number should be, and that obligations are spread over the rest of the towns. One example was Jersey City. Their obligations were calculated to be approximately 7,000 units, but are now to be built elsewhere, such as Cranford, Bergen, and other towns. However, the outlier towns are receiving no additional funding. An issue is that a private organization, is the one suing the towns as plaintiff and interveners. I spoke to Holly Shapizi's assistant, John Gill, and he's going to be sending me a sample bill to be introduced, but this has already been introduced to the Assembly and referred to the Housing and Community Development Committee. Holly is on this committee this year, and it is now in the hands of Chair Jerry Green and Speaker Craig Coughlin, I guess that's how you would say it. So anyway, there's like 13 her bills that she's, like I said, it's already been to the committee, and I'm going to give everybody a copy of these. I'll make them, and I really definitely want to get this on the agenda as soon as we can, because I really see that this is the only way to move forward is at the state level. And like I said, we did meet with about 8 people, and Holly was very informative. It was a conference call, and there's real issues that are going on here, and it's not just Garwood, it's not just Cranford, it's the entire state. And it really can't be. We have no control of our town. They've been trying to put stuff forward for the last couple of years. Nobody will put it forward. And I'm sorry, this is our town too. So I really think that this was a very productive meeting that we had, and I want to move forward on this as soon as I can. So as soon as I get the sample to bring in, I will suggest that we move forward on this. We did this last year. I think we voted 6-0 to move her bill forward. And I'd like to do it this year, hopefully with everybody's approval. I'm thinking that was almost it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you
Councilor.
have this resolution?
No.
I have 12 bills. I emailed it to you. No, I dropped it off. Excuse me, I dropped it off. What?
It's funny because I found something on my desk that was yours and I didn't know how it got there.
I gave it to Kathleen.
I didn't know that, so I put it back in your box.
Well, anyway,
I'll get it out,
I'll
though.
email it to you
Yes, I
because there's
saw
links
that.
for every one of these bills. There's a
Okay.
link, so it explains.
Okay, I got it now.
Because all of these are very informative.
All right. So am I putting a resolution on or am I not?
I think you would have to wait to see if there is a resolution that comes out of this that would be given to you or the council ahead of time to see what they think about it, and then we could go ahead and vote on it. Does that make sense?
Correct.
That makes sense. I mean, like I said, I could read you what every resolution is. It's one sentence, but I'm not going to do it.
It's okay, I just want to make sure I don't have to do something, that's all. No, and I don't, so.
Thank you.
Well, if I may, it sounds like, Ms. Ariema, that once Councilwoman Kugro gets it to you, you would send it to the rest of the council so we can review it, discuss it at our next meeting, and see if we want to proceed.
Yes.
Okay,
thanks.
I can also email it to you. It's got the link, the hot links in there. So
You should email it to me.
I'll email it to you and you can dish it out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Lazaro?
Yes, sorry. So just a couple items. So I met with Councilman Sarno this past Sunday at the rec center to meet with a couple of the baseball league members who wanted to discuss the implementation of a batting cage. And we looked at a couple locations to where it could go. Also, I had emailed Tina and Bob and Mike in regards to any kind of liability issues associated with that. So I just wanted to bring it up to everyone's attention that this is something that the Baseball League, they want to install a 70-foot by 12-foot surface-mounted outdoor batting tunnel frame. And the location, their priority that they mentioned was that would be best is along the fence near that shed to the left of the bocce court. That would be the location that would be most ideal. And I think Councilman Sarton and I both agreed that it seemed to be a pretty good location. It utilizes a space that seems to be, underutilized, generally speaking, that wouldn't really impede on the picnic area too much. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention to discuss it. I know Andrew Weisig was here earlier, he had to leave, so I know he didn't want to speak, so maybe we can get him to speak at our next council meeting to discuss this further, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there. The issue we're still trying to finalize, and I think Tina, actually, you did tell me earlier today, which was, and we have to find out from the baseball league, is whether or not they would be owning that batting cage and therefore be liable or not.
Actually,
No,
the
that's
insurance
changed.
company did get back to me in total. So you
Okay.
have to have an agreement with the baseball league, drawn up by the attorney, that says that they own the batting cage, you don't own it, they maintain it, they're responsible for it, it's for their use. They'd have to take that net off when they're not using it,
Correct.
and then there'd just be poles there. So you just have to do an agreement with them that it's theirs, they own it, they'll maintain it.
And they have full responsibility.
Right, they're
liability.
responsible for it, and they have to give us a certificate of liability insurance and indemnifying the borough, and that's it, and they can play ball.
And I think, to go on your point, I know you have a few more things, but
Sure.
This is a draw for the baseball league in their mind. This is helpful if you have kids there. You go to a lot of other facilities, I know I have, and they have baseball, they have batting cages adjacent, nearby, and they're willing to do it, and they're willing to put it in that fence area. If you're looking out from the parking lot, looking at the bocce court, off to the left, along the fence line near the creek there. It totally makes sense, and this is something that I hope that happens.
Yeah, we both came to agreement. It seemed like to be a really great location, and it definitely would be a huge attraction to getting more baseball teams or baseball tournaments to come in and increase revenue to the rec center. So, we're both in support of it, of course, as long as that contract can be worked out as far as, the township not being liable. Is there any questions, or is everyone?
I mean, everybody likes batting cages without a doubt. I mean, you should check with Westfield and see how they're making out with the one at Gummer. Because I know there was issues over there, so that would be a good place to start.
So are they talking just about one batting cage or a whole?
One, just one, and this is what it looks like. If you want to take it.
I agree with Councilman Sarno and Councilman Mazaro. I know this is something the Baseball League has wanted to do for at least the last 1 to 2 years. I'm glad it's finally happening, and I know they're willing to go out of pocket again as a league to, put the money forward to get these things done, and they've literally spent thousands of dollars over the years and many hours down at that field, and I think we really can't thank them enough for that stuff. I think this is awesome.
It's a good deal.
And when we do have a softball team together in Garwood, they would also be able to use it too.
Okay, and then the second item I have on here.
Can I just recap real quick? So, is that you all agree to allow them to install a batting cage, or?
As long as we have an agreement
Well,
with
we
the
have
contract.
to lead that. We have to
Do we
prepare
need
the
to-
agreement, I have to.
Do I need to direct you to write that agreement with that contract?
Yeah, and then you would also, direct me to get in touch with this guy and tell him what we need.
So then are we in agreement, everybody?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. Okay, so then, yes.
Okay, I will do that then, thank you.
And then the second item for discussion I wanted to bring up was the turf maintenance. I forwarded an email to people in the Buildings and Grounds Committee about this. So I had asked Tina, in regards to this, is how much kind of maintenance is going on with the turf field at the rec center. And also I had inquired in my own district where I work, how often is turf maintained? And most turf is maintained twice a year. And so in order to repair seams, to potentially fill any, put any infill the rubber that's used for the turf, cleaning of all debris and fibers, the maintenance, grooming of the entire field, that kind of thing has to be done in order for the turf field to last a longer period of time. So Tina acquired a quote from Elite Synthetic Services, and they would do 2 visits, one between April 1st and April 15th, and one November 1st through November 15th, and they quoted us $1,200 for each visit. So I just wanted to get a sense of how people felt about this turf maintenance idea to maintain that space.
When's the last time it was maintained?
Tina, what's the exact date?
It was done in the fall of last year.
Mhm.
It should be done every year.
And the public, sorry, Streets and Roads Committee told us that it was in very good shape. So at least we're starting
Yeah,
from a
but-
good point, that's all.
Yeah, well, that's good, because it's gotta be maintained, but to stay in that kind of shape.
Right.
And if I recall, I feel like Councilman Pedroselli did say that there were some seams that did need repairing.
Yeah, this, I actually inquired about
Again,
this.
more?
He told me about this before Councilman Petrozelli told me to inquire about this because of a conversation he had on the Recreation Commission.
Right, but we took care of
So-
the broken seams now.
No, not now, but that he said he
Ah.
inquired about future
Right.
maintenance, and that's why I inquired with you, because we obviously want to maintain it and make
Yeah.
sure that we don't
No,
have
if
these
there were, though, I
problems.
just wanted to know.
They
if
were
I just-
taken
Yeah,
care of.
it's taken care of, right,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
That just sounds like a small investment for $100,000 field.
So are we,
Don't they take care of that with the field? Doesn't the field take care of that in there?
Who's the field?
The, whatever they're,
Do you mean with the rental money?
yeah.
Yeah, they bring in rental money, and that helps offset the maintenance costs like these.
Okay.
But the company's gonna do the physical.
Oh, no, I know.
so would everyone be in favor of?
Sounds like we have a consensus, Council.
In this area, I agree that you have to maintain something like
$100,000.
this. Something like that, as with the, very nice car, you want to maintain it, you got the proper maintenance involved with it. It's just one of those costs that you have to do with the field of that stature. It is what it is.
And it sounds like it's very inexpensive with the total cost of the field.
So then can we prepare a resolution for our next meeting for that?
Yep, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman McCormick?
I guess what I'd like to talk about is 1802 ordinance about the foreman's pay scale. And I stand by what I said last meeting, and I think with only 5 months in, I can't be in favor of it, so I just want to make that clear. Going ahead, yes, but not at this time.
Which one? I didn't hear you. I didn't hear what you said. What was it? Which one
I
was
gotta
it?
repeat the whole thing for you.
No.
Just give us the number, it's okay.
1802.
1802, Councilman. Is that it, Councilman?
That's it, thank you.
Councilman Sarno?
I'll also talk about ordinance 1802, and what I ask the council is to defeat this ordinance, don't table it, go back to the finance committee, tie this to a percentage. That way this debate doesn't keep resurfacing every so many years, okay? Agree upon the percentage of finance, bring it back forth to council, and I'll support it.
I just want to follow up, just a question for Councilman
Yep.
Sarno. So when you say a percentage, do you mean a percentage on the $3, the fact that it's a $3 additional salary on top of the hourly wage, or do you mean that finance should look at it as labor, salary, plus $3, come up with a percentage from there?
What I'm
Do you have a
thinking-
percentage in mind you would be favorable to?
Here's what in theory,
Okay.
because I don't know what's going to happen in the committee. You have the highest rate agreed upon from our last negotiated contract, right? It's around, was it $33, $34 per hour, okay? Is it 10% higher than that would be the foreman salary? Is it 12% higher than that? Is it 15% higher than that? That's the way this should go, okay? In order to, I think, to alleviate a lot of this, because this will keep resurfacing, right? 10 years from now, we're talking about it again. 12 years later, whatever, you're talking about it again. How do you alleviate that? It stays that way as a constant percentage. That's what I want council to think about.
Okay. I think I understand your point better now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tedesco?
Thanks, Mayor. Okay, here we go. Mayor, by the way, were you going to announce the committee change? I noticed it wasn't on the agenda.
It's on you.
It's now on the agenda.
Oh,
We caught it
It's
out.
on the public's agenda?
We caught it after
Yes.
Okay.
your agenda went out.
Okay, so I'll read what I have from my last police committee meeting and workshop then. Okay, so 3 items. The first one being the volunteer reward card. So getting the card program has been going really well so far. It's off to a great start. The letters to all the businesses in town went out about a week ago, and we already have 6 businesses that have signed up. So if a local business is interested in participating by giving a 10% discount on products or services to Garwood residents who are active volunteers in our community, please let me know by March 1st. Also, for those that are unaware, Union County has a long-established commission on the status of women with volunteer members from across the county. I've been on this a little over 1 year and have already gotten promoted to chair, which I'm happy to serve as. So we will be holding the 26th Annual Women of Excellence Awards Dinner on Friday, March 16th at 6:30 p.m. and I'm proud to say that it's right here in Garwood at the Westwood. 10 women with a variety of stunning accomplishments will be recognized for their service and achievement, including the former Garwood music teacher and Roselle Park resident, Mrs. Marguerite Madero, for her work with special needs advocacy. If you are interested in attending the dinner, tickets are $50 per person and payment may be made by check to UCCSW and mailed to Mrs. Carol Lombardo, 275 4th Avenue, Garwood. Last item, the police committee met on January 31st with Chief Wright and discussed a number of exciting initiatives for 2018, including a junior academy that would take place for a week in the summer. It would be open to Garwood children and their relatives of similar age if they were from another town. Also, an idea to help further a positive relationship between Garwood's youth and our police department would be through a playing card program, which has been done in other communities. It would be used in part as a fundraiser by gaining support from local businesses, as well as to encourage children to speak with police officers they see around town. They get a copy of their card and collect them for a prize. Other community policing initiatives were discussed, such as Coffee with Cop, and each of them are really something to look forward to. On another note, the police committee at the time was unanimously supportive of acquiring 1 or more additional radar speed signs, as they have been helpful in slowing down cars on 4th Avenue, Spruce Avenue, and Center Street since they were put up last year. That will be discussed further in the budget process. On a personal note, I was very happy that the rest of the police committee and Chief Wright were supportive of an idea that I've had for a while now. It's known as Street of the Week. I read about this program years ago in the League of Municipalities magazine, as the Borough of Bloomingdale has done it for a while now. Essentially, residents would be able to provide direct input to the police department by submitting a form online or in person about concerns they have, and the police would use that information to help them focus their patrol on particular blocks, and a sign reading Street of the Week would be put up there and moved throughout the town. In many ways, this is obviously something that our Garwood Police Department is already doing. But the sign and the form are ways of showing the public more clearly what is being done to ease their concerns. I reached out to the mayor of Bloomingdale, and he said the program is working very well and has been well received and appreciated by their residents. And just like Garwood, Bloomingdale's #1 issue reported by residents was speeding. So that's all I have, and I do hope that's something that we see come to fruition this year in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We'll move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council, please step to the microphone. State your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Okay, I apologize, I know this will not be 3 minutes. The first one is truly borough business, so I hope they're giving a little leeway. The mayor had asked me to look into something I'm sure you've all read about, which is the positive train control that New Jersey Transit is trying to implement along all rail lines. Do I have to explain that? Everybody knows what that is, right? Positive train control. And the bottom line is that New Jersey Transit has sent out a letter to every municipality along their rail lines because they're starting to implement the system. What it means for Garwood, okay, is that they have identified I think it's 16 locations on the Raritan Valley line where they're going to be putting Class 3 wood poles between 32 and 52 feet in overall exposed height. The wood poles and antenna will look similar to typical utility infrastructure, and I apologize, I'm reading to you from a January 29, 2018 letter sent to the Borough Clerk from New Jersey Transit. And it says that these antenna and poles will look similar to typical utility infrastructure seen along railroads and roadways, and the utility cabinets will be standard metal railroad enclosures. Based upon that, based upon the latitude and longitude they give to you to see where these poles will be, the pole they're proposing, I'll give this to the clerk, is actually right at the south side train station. It is immediately on, I guess it's actually probably on the asphalt that's there. If you go up there, you'll see there's a cabinet up there already. There are poles up there already. I'm not advocating or opposed to that placement, but I want to let you know that that's where they're proposing to install, as I said earlier, 32, I think it is, to 52-foot high poles. So, like I said, I'll give this to the clerk. She can distribute it to everyone. And if the borough does have a comment as to the placement of the poles at that location, I encourage you to send some.
Ms. Ariemo, we did get that.
Yeah, but none of those pictures show where it's at.
Oh, this one doesn't?
It's very difficult to figure out from those pictures. The ones that I had, black and white. Okay.
This is the one you don't have, I'll pass it out to you.
All right.
tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that's where it is if you want to say anything. All right. And that was all I was planning on speaking about, but Councilwoman Cooper raised two issues that I really have big concerns about, so I'll try to be very quick. In terms of the manger Borough Hall, I know you made the comment about it's not it's a no-brainer. It unfortunately is definitely not a no-brainer. I would not support such a proposal. Years ago, I would say 20, 25 years ago, I remember sitting in the Lincoln School Gymnasium when the PTA would actually start off each meeting with a prayer to Jesus, and we kind of stopped that. Not everyone in the audience believes in Jesus, and there's something called the separation of church and state. Mangers belong at St. Anne's, they belong to Presbyterian Church, they belong to the Liquid Church, they belong to churches. I was so glad that Bob, without being asked, spoke up. He normally doesn't do, because this is not a simple thing. You would certainly put Garwood on the front pages of discussions about this. I asked the borough to, I know you're shaking your head no, but I can show you lots of articles.
People have made it a lot more complicated than it should be, Mr.
You're correct, it shouldn't be there. As I said earlier, separation of church and state. The state does not support any religion. All are welcome. You either put Hindu, and every other religion out there, that we should, I don't know what we need to put out there for the Muslim faith, but I guess we have to do that. Once you open the door, you open it to everyone. And I have no opposition to everyone, but the implementation of manger, I would not support, and I would urge this council not to support it. Second thing, in terms of the legislation, there are a number of statements that are just wrong. As a licensed professional planner, I'll advise you that the idea of outlying towns building Jersey City's housing, that has to do with something called regional contribution agreements, which were outlawed years ago. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'll say a decade ago. At least no city is allowed now to have municipalities such as Cranford or other towns provide their fair housing. The second part, of taken out of context, held is the Sierra Club. Sierra Club doesn't want housing at low density built in highlands, built in the pinelands. Sierra Club supports transit-oriented development. They support what's going on in Garwood, in Westfield, in Cranford, in Fanwood. That's where the development should occur. So it does not, and I appreciate your concern for wildlife and habitat destruction. But how do I phrase this? I see deer, occasional fox at Unami Park, but South Avenue, well, I'd love to say habitat concern is a concern. It's really not. The habitat concern, and I'll give the clerk a resolution which was given to this council years ago when I sat up here, having to do with protection of the highlands, protection of our water supply. That's where we need to make sure that we don't allow such housing at low density to be developed.
And
so,
your final point, Mr. Mayor,
yes, I
after
will.
5 minutes.
So I will give you that. The last one is, no town is considered low income already. If you look at COA, round 1 and round 2, certain municipalities, Patterson, Camden, Trenton, Elizabeth, Newark, Jersey City, did not have to provide fair share housing because it was assumed that they do not. Well, we're in round 3. Round 3 of those towns are not considered outside of that. So they are required to provide fair share housing. So there are a lot of inconsistencies, and I'll stand up here swearing in as a licensed professional. They're not correct. I hate to use the term fake news, but that's what they are. So I would encourage, as Councilman Sarno indicated, everybody please read all that, to go through it all, and we can talk some more.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your report. Anyone else at this time? Mr. Patterson?
Good evening, Mayor. Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue, Garland. RVSA, I saw an article in the Westfield Leader. RVSA costs are going to skyrocket again, impacting Garwood. Fanwood is like a 30% increase. You know, the dollar amount I think was something like $30,000 or $40,000, and this is very disconcerting because for the last 5 years our costs have been increasing vastly. As a financial people know that, and of course we complained, and the RVSA reps came to the meeting and they said, oh well, it's a rolling average, so you'll be seeing a decrease now. Well, yeah, okay. Last year we did see a decrease. Now we're seeing an increase again. So I mean, you know, I have no idea what game they're playing in the calculations. We're not really built out. We're not adding a lot of things, and yet our RVSA costs are increasing again. I seriously think, first of all, the mayor's committee should be discussing that. He did talk about something in the executive session. I don't know what that was, but I think you should have the RVSA people come here and show the calculations. I mean, you know, they came last time and they said, oh yeah, well everything was calculated right, and yes, that's your increase, and in a 5-year rolling average, it would be, you know, well, you should want to see the calculations, and I mentioned that the other time too, that we should demand the calculations to see why ours would actually go up versus others going up, and Fanwood going up vastly. That's their problem, I guess, but anyway, so that's it. So I mean, you know, something like that should be demanded by the governing body. Yeah, that COA requirement, Jersey City, it's like a reverse RCP. That's what the issue is. It's not, RCP was outlawed, yes, but this is actually a reverse RCP, where the low-income towns, like the Abbott districts, you know, the COA units are being pushed out onto the other towns. So that's just a quick comment there. The batting cage, if you're actually going to allow it, I think you better tell them that they can't use aluminum bats in the batting cage. That's where all the noise is. If you look at where it's situated, yes, there's the brook right there, but then of course there's the houses right there, the backyards of the houses. And aluminum bats, I don't know if anybody really plays softball or baseball, but aluminum bats are very loud. And the constant bang, 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 I mean, people will be complaining. So
Some of them are not allowed in some of the batting cages. Some of them are not allowed.
yeah, okay, well wooden, you know, the wooden bats are fine, they're a lot less noisy.
I see the councilman's pen.
Oh, yeah, I'm writing this down. Does any kid have a wooden bat anymore? No.
But he's wooden bats don't
Well,
start
you may be
until
right,
14,
but it doesn't,
Nobody
has a wooden bat.
There's the thing about it, then, maybe another location if there's no wooden bats out there, but I think that's
There's wooden bats, trust
Is
me.
there anything else, Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, and this was another disconcerting thing. So I'm reading about the, I guess you could say the fighting for the political chairmanship of the Democratic County Party. And this is Scutari versus Farr. And so I'm reading the articles, interested of course, being a Democrat, but it mentioned Marr was sending a letter to Scutari and Robert Renaud. And I'm saying, now why is, you know, it's our attorney, why is Mr. Renaud involved in that?
I have the same question.
Well, you got a letter from Marr, right?
I think everybody that I know have got a letter, but I have the same question for a
So,
second.
yeah, but why would you be involved? Through you, Mayor, I guess.
Oh, good. Mr. Renard, like to answer, go right ahead.
I just said I have the same question.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Pennington?
All right, only because I don't know how deep he is involved in the party, but I just hope a lot of the public interests are not conflicted, you know, by whatever the party politic is going on. I'm not too excited about it. I'm not really going to talk about it, but it seems to be a serious infighting going on.
Thank you.
And I wrote a letter to the newspapers, and I'm sure everybody can look forward to that one. So, but all right, yeah, I'll talk about the county. You know, Ed Oatman, Scutari, the freeholders. I'll talk to you the next time in the main agenda, but there's something seriously wrong there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Seeing none? Do I have a motion to adjourn this portion of the meeting?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Continue
Couldn't get
on,
that one out
council?
fast enough.
Should they?
Please rise for a moment of silence with a salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, advertised January 4, 2018. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the municipal public bulletin board, filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public of time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Mayor Lombardo?
Here?
Councilman Kukrow?
Here.
Councilman Lazaro?
Here.
Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilman Sarno?
Here.
Councilwoman Fisco?
Here.
Council President Blumenthal? Here.
Ms. Ariano, minutes?
Regular workshop and executive minutes of the mayor and council held on January 23rd, 2018.
Do I have a motion to accept minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Communications?
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Advisory.
Receive and file.
Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders.
Receive and file.
Roy Valley Sewage Authority minutes.
Receive and file.
Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders ordinance.
Receive and file. Move on to ordinances. Public hearing on ordinance 1801 and 1802 as advertised in the Westfield Leader. Ms. Ariano, please read ordinance 1801 by title only.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance providing for the compensation of regular police officers of the Borough of Rutland.
Have we received any correspondence?
None, Mayor.
Does anyone present wish to be heard concerning 1801? Seeing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing on 1801.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion.
I thought you moved it.
I thought I did.
We
Yeah.
simultaneous.
Simultaneously.
I'll pick you.
Do I have a motion made and seconded to ordinance 1801?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Councilwoman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman McCormick.
Yes.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilwoman Fidisco.
Aye.
And Council President Blumenthal. Aye.
Ms. Ariano, please read ordinance 1802 by title only.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance fixing the salaries and wages for the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Berlin in the County of Union, State of New Jersey.
Do you have received any correspondence?
None, Mayor.
Does anyone present wish to be heard on ordinance 1802? I have a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Mayor. Bruce Patterson, 325 Long Avenue. I guess this came out of negotiations. Is this with the union or the collective bargaining unit? Is that what it is?
This was the ordinance that Councilman Blumenstock just talked about in the workshop.
Oh, with the foreman.
That's correct.
Yeah, I understand what Councilman Sarno is talking about, a percentage increase. However, if you look at that, every time the salaries increase, that percentage dollar amount will also get larger. The reason why it's fixed, and I'm in construction, I've been in union construction for many, many years, I mean, they have a fixed dollar amount over and above what the regular journeyman makes for the foreman's cost. And that stays the same as whatever couple $1,000s that they would make as a foreman. It makes sense to use a percentage, but the only thing is that percentage, of course, would be on a higher and higher base salary of the journeyman. And that's what would increase it. That's why they have it fixed. So, I mean, I'm just pointing that out, you know, for you to understand on that.
Thank you.
Outside of that, I appreciate President Blumenstock. You know, she was eloquent in her speaking as to the issues surrounding the DPW that we, in the public, occasionally hear. And it was well spoken what you said, whether you table it or defeat it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Motion to close public hearing on ordinance 1802.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 1802.
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to table.
Second?
Do I have a roll call, Mr. Renata, at this point?
Yes.
Ms. Ariema, roll call, please.
Councilman Krueger?
No.
You know, motion, roll call.
May we have
table.
discussion, even though it's a motion to table?
Well, motion's sent to the mayor, but motion's to table.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I just want to say one point that I'll be supporting tabling it. I agree with what Council President Blumenstock brought up earlier, and also the Finance Committee will have the opportunity to have a discussion about that fixed amount versus the percentage that Councilman Sarno brought up earlier. So that's why I'll be supporting tabling it.
Thank you.
It's just I think you have to defeat this measure. You can't vote to table this because all you're doing is saving face now and then ultimately doing the same thing later, what you intended to do tonight. So to me, defeat it now, go back to the drawing board and come up with a different conclusion after you go back to the finance and the entire budget process.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just want to say I respectfully disagree because I want to state for the record that I am open to compromise on this issue, and I look forward to discussing it in the committee I'm now chair of.
Roll call, Ms. Ariema?
Okay, so just to be clear, we're roll calling to table the ordinance. not
That's
to
correct.
approve the ordinance. So I just want to make sure you're. All right. Councilman Krueger?
No.
Councilman Lazaro?
Aye.
Councilman McCormick?
No.
Councilman Sarno?
No.
No. Okay. Councilwoman Tedisco?
Aye.
Council President Blumenstock? Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Lombardo? So, Bob, that means it was tabled, correct?
Table.
Okay, moving on to council standing committee reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Sarno.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilwoman Tedisco just indicated, she is now the chair of finance. I am now the chair of police. So I'll be giving the report now. Parking Enforcement Officer John Patterson has been a welcome addition to the department. Mr. Patterson's role as Parking Enforcement Officer will include the enforcement of all parking laws and ordinance, including residential and commuter permits, as well as the issuance of permits. Regular office hours for residents and commuters in need of permits have been established on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. To schedule an appointment with Mr. Patterson, email him at j-patterson@garwood.org. In the coming weeks, we will phase in the enforcement of parking violations first by updating and adding proper signage, followed by notification to residents and businesses within the central business district and residential parking permitted areas, and lastly, through a period of issued warnings to violators in an effort to acclimate motorists to our stepped up efforts to enforce existing parking laws and ordinance. Officer Edward Moronsky has begun his training period with the department, and it's off to a great start. Officer Moronsky is a lifelong resident of Garland, and his knowledge of our streets and residents has been a great asset and will be. Officer Moronsky is under the direct supervision of 2 field training officers, Sergeant Lewis and Officer Suggs. Initial field training is expected to last 4 to 6 months. The Garwood Police Department is in the early planning stages of hosting our first ever aforementioned Garwood Police Youth Academy. The Youth Academy will be open to residents of Garwood entering 6th through 8th grade. The Youth Academy is an opportunity for our young residents to not only get to know our officers,
but to get a hands-on experience of what a career in law enforcement is like. A full announcement of the program, including dates and specifics, will be posted in March. That's all from my report.
Thank you. Public Health, Councilman McCormick.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Streets and Roads, Council President Blumenstock.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to regular garbage pickup, the Department of Public Works cleaned the debris from the tops of all stormwater drainage inlets on the north and south side of the borough before and after all rain events, and they cut up and removed broken branches in various locations of the borough. They completed the annual curbside holiday tree pickup program and provided assistance to administration for zoning office cleanup and renovation. In addition, the department repainted the snow plows for all snow removal equipment and performed winter pothole repairs at 16 locations around the borough. 2 dead trees were removed along Center Street, and shade tree pruning/elevating was performed at the following locations: Center Street, Hickory Avenue, sections of Hemlock Avenue, and sections of Hazel Avenue. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Fire, Councilman McCormick.
Yes, Mayor, very short. I'd just like to tell everybody the total hours for 2017. The total man hours are 4,697 minutes, including mutual aid. Mutual aid hours in 2017 come to a total of 339 total hours with 43 calls. And to make a note that 26% of all 2017 calls were to assist other towns in mutual aid. So with that said, maybe this is better. I attended my first fire meeting last week. I was able to get my schedule straight. And being a resident for over 30 years, I was came to a rude awakening attending a fire meeting. To see that a bunch of guys volunteer their time to save us if we have a case of a fire, maybe to save that cat, pump your basement out. I think a lot of us take it for granted. So I just wanted to sit here today and tell everybody to support your firemen. I give them guys a lot of credit, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The budget process will be officially kicking off this Thursday night with a meeting with each of the department heads about their operating as well as capital budgets. The Finance Committee will work together to compile the budget line by line. Then there will be meetings with our auditors. Once ready, the council will be given the budget sheets prior to the special budget meetings of the mayor and council, which are open to the public. We will discuss setting those dates at our next meeting. I look forward to working with Council President Blumenstock and Councilwoman Kukrow this year. It's actually historic in itself because it's the first all-female finance committee. So, see how we do. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
It's a long one.
Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Time, a division of MRC Company that has been working with our committee over the last year to formulate the plan for the revitalization of Hartman Park is being voted on in Resolution 18-073 to be our contractor to install the equipment itemized to the mayor and council in an email that I sent out on January 31st. The project, which totals $131,127.52, which also will include obviously the matching grant that we received from the county in the amount of $55,000, as well as we're still waiting on the Level the Playing Field grant that we hope to receive from the county as well. This all includes the purchase of new swings, which includes more swings for parents and younger children to swing together, as well as swings that are ADA compliant, a custom play area for 2 to 5-year-olds, which features things such as a spiral step climber and bongos, 5 to 12-year-old play area with features such as a cargo net wall and a river rock climber, amongst many other features. The project also includes picnic tables, benches, trash and recycling receptacles, a freestanding sensory tunnel designed specifically to be inclusive for special needs children, an umbrella canopy to provide shade on the play area, installation of all equipment including a concrete curb, removal and disposal of one asphalt basketball court located nearest to the playground area, and the removal and disposal of existing basketball posts. for that one basketball area. We were also able to reduce costs by having our DPW be responsible for removing and disposing of old park equipment and to prep the grounds for installation for the new equipment. If passed, we hope to have this project started sometime in early to mid-March with a target completion of early April. Also, in executive session today, we had a lengthy meeting, which, we apologize to the public for keeping you out so long, but we were updated about the rec complex. Falcon is the group that we have hired to do the inspections and give us the specifications for all of the work that needs to be done. They gave us a very thorough report, basically telling us that there was additional construction defects, that it was not waterproofed, and there was severe structural degradation that they found when they removed the door. There was wood rot, and that there was an obvious construction defect. So the cost to remediate this was going to be an additional $69,000 was the quote that we received, on top of the original $47,000 that we have already agreed to pay, for a total of $116,000. So what we discussed in our meeting is obviously we are definitely considering all possible avenues to recoup this cost, and so we are considering the possibilities of litigation, but we're still discussing all options. However, moving forward, the council is considering possible, amending the bond, which we are going to potentially discuss, so that we can get this building reopened. So,
You directed me to do it, not what I'm discussing.
I'm sorry. So we've directed, yes, in our last meeting, in our executive session, I apologize, we have directed the borough clerk to move forward with amending the bond so that we can get this completed as fast as possible. Unfortunately, because we also have to have all the policies in place, and we have to have for public hearing for amending the bond, the process unfortunately takes much longer than we would like it to take. And also, Falcon informed us that it will take 45 days to complete once we officially amend the bond. So potentially we could be looking at an April completion date, but that is, right now based on April or May, that's when they would start. I apologize. So, so that's the basic update on the rec center. We're obviously all frustrated by this process. We're trying to do our due diligence to make sure that this moves forward, and that we hold accountable those parties that are responsible. And that's all from our report.
Thank you, Councilman. Laws and License, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. The Laws and License Committee recommends the following: the adoption of resolution number 18-059 for the application of an on-premise 50/50 and an on-premise merchandise raffle license to be held March 15, 2018 at the Westwood by Project Home of Cranford, New Jersey. The adoption of resolution number 18-060 for the application of a casino night license to be held March 10, 2018 at the Knights of Columbus, 37 South Avenue, Garwood by New Jersey, by Girls Softball Auxiliary of Clark Township, New Jersey. The adoption of resolution number 18-061 for the application of an on-premise merchandise raffle license to be held March 7, 2018 at the Westwood, 438 North Avenue, Garwood, New Jersey by Union High School PTA. We've also forwarded notes to Bob on the property maintenance ordinance, so he'll be tightening all that up for hopefully maybe next council meeting. And we're also discussed the fence ordinance pertaining to corner properties with Bob, and are hoping to bring this forward at the next meeting. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Recreation, Councilman Lazaro.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Garwood Senior Citizen Liaison, Council President Blumenstock.
Thank you, Mayor. We had our last club meeting on February 1st, and I was able to update the seniors on council business. I gave a redevelopment update and let them know that the budget process for 2018 was about to begin, but it was a low-key meeting with lunch and many games of bingo. Our next meeting is this Thursday, the 15th, we'll be doing something a little different and having someone from each table bake a dessert, so I'll let you know how that goes. Thanks.
They're pretty good on the oven. Thank you, Councilwoman. Library's Mayor Representative, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. This Thursday at 7 p.m., the Garwood Public Library will present a performance of the oldies band Rewind. These Jersey boys will perform their favorites from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and registration is recommended. There's a limit of 40. 2 new travel databases have been added to the library's website, Global Road Warrior and A to Z World Travel. Global Road Warrior is a travel guide that covers 175 countries. It includes country facts, climate, society and business, culture, demographics, money and banking, travel essentials, security briefings, etc. A to Z World Travel is a guide to over 200 cities around the world. It provides a comprehensive travel resource with information about points of interest with link to city attractions, security, transportation, and other relevant items. Both are of great help to the student researcher or to the world traveler. Both are mobile friendly, automatically adapting to the screen size of any desktop, laptop, tablet, or smartphone. The library's regular programs include Knitting Club every Monday and Thursday at 10:30 a.m., Kids Chess Mondays in February at 3 p.m., Book Clubs Monday, February 26th at 1 p.m., Design at STEM every Tuesday at 3 through March, Storytime every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., Inventive Investigation every Wednesday at 3 through February 21st, Lego Club February 8th and 22nd, Kids Craft Thursday at February 15th at 3 p.m., and Movie Time every Friday at 10 a.m. The Garwood Library is open Monday through Thursday from 9 to 8 p.m., Fridays from 9 to 4:30, and Saturdays from 9 to 1. The library will be closed Monday, February 19th for President's Day. That's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. School Board Liaison, Councilman McCormick.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilman Cooperall.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a celebrations committee next Wednesday, so until then, I've been trying to solicit some people to volunteer or be on the committee to help with this. I have a volunteer that I will put forward to the committee chair next week. The other one has to be appointed by the mayor, so I think Crystal Zawowski would be a great fit, and she was very honored to be asked. So I can give this to you for that.
Please.
When you find people, can you also give the mayor their address and their phone number and their email if they have it?
Okay, I'll give me that back. I'll send it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Thank
send
you.
it.
There's a form that we have online that we use for new people that asks that information.
Well,
And
nobody
also-
told me about that, so I just.
Yeah, it's also, tells about financial disclosure, although celebrations doesn't have to do that. But it lets people know ahead of time, so they're
Yeah.
not virtual shops when I tell them they have to do that. You know, financial
I didn't think there was
disclosure.
going to be for celebrations.
No, there isn't for celebrations, but like rec and library and what
Planning
else there
board.
is. And then when the people get on, and then I tell them they have to do it, they get very mad because they weren't told that in advance, so. The planning board, so try to use that form, guys, so.
Okay. Moving on, Union County
uh,
Air Traffic Noise and
People all like
Dressing.
staring over me and like.
I was
Somebody
there.
murdered at the door or something.
Again,
Yeah, I
Mayor, no
hope if
report.
something
Thank you.
was really serious, we'd be screaming.
Sorry.
In that case.
Sorry.
Special Review Committee, Councilman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Did we miss one? Or did we already go through air traffic?
No report.
Went through it? All right.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. I do have a short historical report for you. Okay. The historical committee met a couple weeks ago. It was in fact a couple days after the last council meeting, and continue to plan events for this year. In particular, we worked on getting ready for Garwood Rock Street Fair by coming up with 5 more items to add to the rocks that we hide around town. Last year, 20 rocks were hidden with a variety of historical items such as the First Aid Squad, Lincoln School, and the Little League. Also, the finishing touches were put on the first ever historical committee newsletter, which will be delivered to every home in Garwood once the weather warms up a bit, since we will be walking that piece. On a final note, the committee is doing an inventory of all the plaques in town, and we've noticed some that maybe have not gotten much press in the past that we'll be looking forward to bringing forth. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Parking Committee, Councilman Sarno.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Excuse me, one question, Jeff. Do you still meet the parking committee, or did you finish your work?
We are still going to meet, okay, and the reason we haven't met is because, as I just mentioned, the police report, our parking enforcement officer just started, so there's nothing to evaluate.
I
at
just
this
wanted
point
to
in
take
time.
it off the agenda if you weren't doing it anymore, that's all.
So I know that I've had one of my members in the audience, she's asked me a couple times, I've had other inquiries, as emails from other people, and they said, we're having a meeting. I said, as we discussed at the last time we met, it's more prudent to meet when we have an evaluation period of the parking enforcement officer and to see what's happening from that point in time. To meet prior to that, I think it's just a futile effort.
You can't forget the south side of town, the permitting and
Okay.
everything. Okay, moving on. Officers' reports, Ms. Ariema.
Municipal Court Administrator Tom Duran, monthly report for December 2017. Zoning Code Enforcement Officer Lenny DiStefano, monthly report for January 2018.
Do you have a motion to accept officers' reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council?
Mayor, can I back up one second?
Sorry.
On my fire report, I left out something very important. I'd also like to thank the fire women.
Okay. Thank you.
Ladies of the
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bill Nierstedt, 320 Hickory Avenue. I'm going to apologize up front. I guess I started out offending Jesus, and now I'm going to be an equal opportunity offender here. So I apologize up front to everybody. Okay, number of questions on different resolutions. 18063. Okay, one of the things I talked about when I was on council was to try to get more information in the resolutions. I realized that in the fourth whereas it does say recreation building. Other than that, 18063 does not tell you where this money is being spent. I would just ask the council to consider some point in here putting at the athletic field complex an address or something to indicate where the money is being spent. Same thing for 18065. We're hired the proposal from Mott McDonald for a remedial action permit. There's no property address. Does anybody know what property that is?
It's a rec complex.
Well, maybe we can add that in there.
I can't change it now, but I'll keep that in mind.
Before it's adopted, we certainly can change it. We'll do
Okay, I'll
discussion.
keep that in mind for the future, that you like that on there.
But we can change it tonight before, public hearing moves to 9. You haven't acted on it yet. It's public comment. You can certainly change it.
Yeah, but then it has to be republished.
No, first reading, no, you don't publish resolutions.
Just want to make sure.
Okay. Next one, 069, I recognize that this is a repair, so it's different, but I just wanted to mention to everybody, I know I mentioned last year on the one of the CDBG reps, if we know the streets where we're going to be replacing the ramps for the handicap, we can get that funding through CDBG. So I realize this is a repair, but if you can keep that in mind for the future, that is money that we actually can get through CDBG pretty easily. So if there is a program we discussed with the engineer, if there are any streets that still need to be done, we can put them in there.
Be surprised with a lengthy list.
Yes, then let's do that for next year.
Okay.
Okay. Next one, Resolution 18073. I'll be very upfront here, but I was really surprised to see this department field is moving so quickly. Number one, and I must admit I had not realized this, was brought to my attention, is 100% correct. This actually has to go to the planning board. You're using public dollars. And so again, I turn to Mr. Renaud just to confirm, okay, whenever the council is authorizing expenditure of public dollars for a capital project, and this is certainly a capital project, you do need to send it to the planning board. So I don't know what that does to your schedules, but I believe, and again, I'm turning to Ms. Renaud, I believe it's 4055E-29, I think, to be 30, but the municipal land use law. So I would ask you to, before you, the law says that before you use the expenditure of any capital dollars for a capital project, public dollars for a capital project, you send it to the planning board. I know we can make the next planning board meeting. So at that point in time, there's probably going to be a lot of questions about the plan and all things like that. I don't know who's seen the plan. I don't know, what bids, how many bids you've gotten. I don't know.
It's a co-op.
I know it's a co-op. I know the answer to that question before I even asked it. I know you didn't have to go out, but I had spoken earlier and recommended, and Councilman Kluber will probably be surprised at this because I agreed with her at the time to actually put this out and get bids. And I know you're not required to because this is a co-op, but I know those questions will be asked at the planning board meeting because I'll ask them. Next to last, I understand, we went into executive session for 1807. I should say for 18075, but related to the redevelopment plan. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with the redevelopment plan. I also do not know, and I certainly accede to Bob and the redevelopment attorney's opinions in this, but there aren't too many reasons for a redevelopment plan to commit to executive session. Redevelopment plans are usually discussed in public, so whatever went on in there, I just trust it was in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act, because I don't know why a redevelopment plan would go into executive session. Last but not least, and I know I won't make any friends on this, but I don't have many now. I think we lost a golden opportunity tonight, okay, and that was with your action on 1802. Okay, if the council is truly open to changing 1802, and I don't even pretend to know what the details are, I don't. But if you're truly open to changes that might come out of the Finance Committee, then you're back to first reading anyway. So you all could have agreed 6-0 to just deny it at this point in time, as Councilman Sarno recommended. And if you're truly open to making changes, this would have disappeared anyway. You would have had a new ordinance. So you could have come together for the first time in a long time, voted 6-0 on a contentious subject. So for all, well, like I said, I won't make any friends on that, but I think you could have done that tonight, and I wish you could have come together and done it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
May I address
Yes.
Mr. Merced's last issue? The reason for me tabling the issue was not so that we could necessarily make any changes to it. That might happen, but I am not at this point in agreement to changing it. I would like to talk to the Finance Committee about some of the intricacies of it.
Right, but
So-
by leaving it in its current wording, it applies, I do not. You could have just taken it off.
But then if we do come back, it just saves
You understand what
the,
I'm saying, I understand what
yeah,
you're saying.
it saves another public hearing.
Yeah, Councilor Renata, could you answer the question in regards to the planning board question in regards to the park?
I'll take a look at it. The answer is no, I don't know the answer to the question off the top of my head.
Mr. Renaud, can we vote on that tonight?
On what, on the resolution?
On the Hartman Resolution 18-073?
I don't know, nobody raised that prior. Do you want to pull that? Is there
Well, I was gonna pull
an
it anyway.
urgency on it?
Well, there is,
To an extent, but I mean,
I guess I'm not quite sure what you mean by you didn't
Mr.
know prior.
Mr. Neerstead said, as long as you don't spend the money, you might authorize it, but you're not spending it. Is that correct, Mr. Neerstead?
I was about to look up the statute, but it's authorizing the expenditure of public funds. So I can get the exact wording in 2 minutes if you want.
I am curious about that because
Sure.
it was the first
I
time
don't
I
think you
had.
have to hold up, I don't want to speak out of turn, I apologize. Are you actually authorizing I have to go back and read it. What exactly is that resolution authorizing?
Awarding the
Awarding
contract.
contract, I mean, I'm not your advisor. From a planning perspective, I recommend you don't, but I'm not an attorney.
But when the comment was brought up, the issue was raised about capital expenditure. I'm wondering where the line is for that. We do a
Usually-
number of capital expenditures,
Usually it's $5,000 for 5 years. That's
but
capital.
that wouldn't
No,
be
but I
capital
think-
like a dump truck, garbage
No, I
truck,
think when
roads,
you're doing
public improvements,
yeah, like.
just parks,
Like, I think, like the rec center or something like that. We had to go to the planning board for rec center.
specifically just parks. then.
No, I
No.
didn't say that. I said,
The beauty of having a CIP, which you're implementing, okay, is it helps you not have to do each individual project. But since this is not in a CIP, then you have to do it as a capital project, individual capital project.
Well, perhaps Mr. Renaud will have something for us.
I'll take a look at it. I mean, if there's a concern on it, take it off the agenda and I'll give you a report before the next meeting.
I guess I'm just a bit disappointed only because we've talked about Hartman Park nearly every meeting, if not every meeting, for months now, and it's just, you really do want to get something going so it can get started and get finished, but it's a government
Is
board.
there, because we have 2 other planning board members, is this something that, since you've been on the planning board for a very long time, is that something that you could speak to, Mr. Neerstadt's
I was
concern?
interrupted, but what I was trying to answer is that we had to go before the planning board for the AFC. So when you're saying this is a public park, maybe
We've gone if there's been a development, for example, for the athletic field, which was an entirely different proposition. I don't know what specifically Bill is referring to, so I can't answer that question as to what it is that he thinks requires that this go to the plan.
So, Councilman-
So if you're asking if I can give you an opinion here as we sit here, no, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to address the council's concerns for invitation for, I would say the.
I'm sorry, your address?
I'm Steve Reed,
I know that.
409 Brookside Place, Galway, New Jersey.
Yeah, actually, a point of order, I was actually going to speak.
Yes.
I
already have you.
Yeah.
You had the floor first.
Yeah, thanks.
Hang on.
Jim Matthew, 335 Hazel Avenue. Mayor, what's the current makeup of the administrative or special review committee?
Councilwoman Kukrow, Councilwoman Vesco, and myself.
So you have not accepted Councilwoman Kukraw's resignation?
That's correct.
Was she aware of it?
She sits on the same day as with us, I would assume she did.
Maybe I would know it if they planned a meeting.
I had said that we do have future issues we want to talk about, and I'd like to keep the committee in place for now.
Okay. That's interesting. Yet Councilwoman Tedisco was removed from Streets and Roads because of her master schedule at her request. What accounts for the difference?
She's just asking to be off the committee.
I thought that's what
Then-
Councilwoman Kukrow did.
That's correct, that's what I just said.
So one was granted and one wasn't.
But she had a solid reason, she just didn't want to be on the committee anymore.
So Councilwoman Kukrow did not have a solid reason.
That's what I thought. And there's still going to be meetings. At this moment, we have many things in front of us, just haven't gotten to the next level of things we want to review. It's only January, February, excuse me.
Further on those personnel changes, for you, Mayor, and also Councilman Sarno and Councilwoman Tedisco, what accounts for the personnel change of I'm not done asking my question, Mayor.
Well, that's okay.
No, I'm not done. If you could just not interrupt me, let me ask my question as a citizen and a taxpayer, I would appreciate that. Okay. What accounts for the change of chairpersons with Councilman Sarno and Councilwoman Tedisco from Finance and Police? And just as a citizen, I'd like to note that the only trained accountant that we have on the dais is not even a member of the Finance Committee anymore. As chairperson, I'm not done, sir. As chairperson of the committee, I was heartened, however, just to not even have him as a member. I have to say, as a citizen, I'm befuddled by that. Can you tell me what accounts for the difference?
Well, basically, the reasoning of the switch was a conflict in philosophy and scheduling the two individuals, and I feel that it would hamper the budget process. I switched them. I have every right to do that, as long as I keep every council person as a chairman of that, a committee, and also too, when I start moving people around and disrupt this whole council, I feel just by changing those two, it would be the best thing for the council and maintain the level of services.
So there was a conflict of philosophies and schedule between
That's correct.
Councilman Sarno and Councilperson Tedisco? Who were the two individuals?
I'm
not involved.
Who were the two? And then you mentioned there was a conflict between two individuals.
Right.
Councilman Sarno was on one hand. Who was the other individual?
Myself.
Okay, so
Yes.
you had a conflict.
Right.
With
There was a
him,
conflict.
and because of that, you changed.
That's correct. That was the best thing for the council.
Could you elucidate a little bit more what your I'm not done asking my question, Mayor.
Pardon?
I'm not done asking my question. You continually interrupt me, and I'm very offended by that. Okay? You're an elected official, and you work for me. I'm here to speak
Yeah,
and
but
to
you're
ask
not
questions. I'm not done speaking.
I don't
Sir.
think you should raise your
All right.
voice either.
Mayor, stop being rude and interrupting me. Can you please elucidate specifically what your scheduling and philosophical conflicts were with Councilman Sarno? And I would also like to hear Councilman Sarno's side of the story on what the philosophical and scheduling conflicts were with you. Thank you, Mayor.
basically it involved his employment. As you mentioned, he's in the finance business, and they do a lot of their business towards the beginning of the year. And there was some philosophy of Saturday meetings, and I thought that was inappropriate to my eyes, and I switched it.
I can speak to his point. This is more of a conflict of scheduling. My only availability, because of right now, we're filing all kind of with the SEC and everything like that. My time's busy. The only time for me to meet is really on Saturdays. That was unable to be accompanied by the borough staff, and the rest of the committee was not in favor of it. So for that reason, aside from Eileen, she was in favor of that. Because of that was the reason that because no one could really put the whole thing together for Saturdays in February and early March, I was asked to be put on police. I agreed to it, and that was my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, Steve Reed for site, please. Just as a note to follow up with the remark on the planning board. The three people happen to be members of the planning board that are sitting there. We do not represent the planning board at this stage. And I think it's very important for that separation to be very clear, both for your board and for the board that we participate on. So for us to give, or for myself to give advice, I think, during this meeting, as a planning board representative is not necessarily appropriate. I think that should be addressed at a different forum and not here as a representative of the planning board itself. I'm here as a Norwood resident, and I'm here to view and to listen and comment when appropriate, as I am doing now. So with that, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Patterson?
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, Council Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. Oddly enough, I have a lot of questions on the resolutions, also on the consent agenda. Pretty much like Bill. 18063, Falcon Group for $5,000. That's for the rec complex, right? That's what everybody agreed to?
Yes.
That's just additional construction management or engineering or?
Yes.
Yeah, professional service, okay. The resolution 18-065 for Mott McDonald, that says soil remediation, and it's at the rec complex.
So part of the environmental issue that we had when we built the rec complex, you know, we had contaminated soil removed in accordance with law.
Yeah, in a couple places, that's right.
So the DEP requires that every 2 years, well, first of all, it requires that monthly the cap is inspected, which is done in-house by staff. We keep a report. And then every 2 years, an LSRP, which is what this company has to file a report with DEP about that environmental issue. So that's what this is. And it'll happen every 2 years, forever.
We received the paperwork on it.
So he gave us a quote for this report and 2020. Of course, I didn't award 2020, just this in 2018. We'll see it again in 2020.
Are we stuck with Mott McDonald?
No,
Oh, okay.
but I'm sure, I mean, he already did all the work, so somebody else can do it.
Yeah, I see Glenn Lewis is retiring. I wish him well, he's a hard worker. 18-073 is the Hartman Park Playground. And I see a number of $131,000 now. As I recall from the other meetings, like there's a number of $110,000 that was tossed around many times with a potential cap of $160,000 based on unforeseen circumstances. Right? That was the numbers that you guys were basically giving the public, and now we're looking at $131,000. So it's not 160, it's 131, or is it not 110, it's 131?
Well, we bonded for $160,000.
Okay.
With, you know, and then one of the things that we included in the plan was for that extra sensory tunnel piece, which originally the plan was 110, and then we added that piece with the idea of getting that level of playing field grant to cover that cost. So that kind of was where that extra piece was added to the overall cost.
All right, but there's still, I guess, potential concerns of additional costs. Right. Back when you were
Right, so
saying
when-
110,
correct.
you had
So
concerns.
so typically when you bond, just in case they're, for example, if they are, you know, digging up something and, or if something goes wrong, or they, you know, they find something that would cause it to cost more money, then that's typically the reason why you bond for more than what you, and also there's bonding cost obviously as well. So that was the reason for that kind of increase in the amount of money that we bonded for.
All right, I'm just concerned because you were carrying like, say, $50,000, and now it's down to 20,000.
What we said, basically the reason is that we had this.
Oh, you were aware?
We had this idea of the extra piece being put in when we decided to go for that amount for the bond.
That was never mentioned to the public, by the way. Whatever this, 110 went to 131, so that's like $20,000. Somehow you didn't tell that to the public, they were aware of this piece.
There, in the last report I gave, it was shared, that information.
Was that last meeting?
Yeah,
I
it was last
always miss the meeting.
Yes.
18-075. What exactly is this? I guess maybe our attorney will explain this. It's about litigation. What are the numbers? 18075, that's, it looks like it references litigation in the manner of the application of the Borough of Garwood,
All that's doing is referring it to the planning board for their review, that they have to provide comments back to the, to council in 45 days.
This one is fixing, amending the redevelopment plan.
What we got that was red line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, but it's being referred to the planning board.
Right.
This is the old one.
This is two.
Right, this is Russo 2, yeah.
Or South Avenue
We didn't
redevelopment
adopt that one
plan
yet,
2.
right? Pardon? We didn't adopt that one yet, right?
I thought we put it on last month, but it's on the agenda, so.
That was the red line before this.
You do what, this resolution?
I thought so, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Because I think I found this email from you in my sandbox. Maybe I did.
First reading.
Bill.
No, it wasn't, right here.
It may not have been on the agenda. I know I saw it during the week, so it may have.
I got it on February 3rd.
Okay.
I got it on.
There was a resolution at the last meeting, but that was South Avenue Transit-Oriented Redevelopment Plan, which is usually the citizen's one.
No, this is
This
number
is what
2,
was
isn't it?
last time, 18-052, if you want to see it.
Okay.
You need
That's
to
not
see
what this is, no.
No.
No, I'm trying to look for the email on this one
Doesn't matter.
why is it on here? Where'd I get it from? And I have it right here.
Actually, this does raise concern.
I got it on February.
How come the
February
council is not saying, oh yeah, this is explained, and it has a perfect explanation for it?
No, I sent it to them. There's a lot tonight. They got this on Friday.
I know, but somehow I'm not even hearing the governing body.
I'm pulling this from the consent agenda, so I mean.
Well, I'm just trying to help refresh them what it is. This is what it is, everybody. You got it on Friday.
Before you sent this.
Yes. You got it on Friday.
I was counting freeholders, and they had a resolution saying they were against Trump's tax plan, and I asked them, I said, well, you're against it, then you must have read it, and they're all looking around.
Do you have any other comments, Mr.
Yeah, actually, I do want to talk about this.
You have 6 minutes down already, so.
6 minutes, I was waiting for everybody to finish. Okay, let me just run through the county. I mean, obviously, you've heard me for years talk about the county and its corrupted system, and now we're facing another facet. They just do this right out in public. They could care less about constituents, the people, the taxpayers, the families, you know, they care about themselves. And that's that guy, Ed Oakman, who's being forced by Senator Scutari as the county manager because Alpha Yellow is retiring. And what they're doing, he's supposed to be a resident of the county. Well, guess what? He lives in Woodbridge. I mean, the guy doesn't probably even know all the towns in the county, and yet he's going to be our county manager. The freeholders are embracing him. I mean, at the last meeting they said, oh, we got great. All he really is, and he's the chief of staff of Senator Scutari. And if you're aware of what the chief of staff does, I consider him just a concierge. He's a paper pusher, answers calls. You know, yes, maybe he talks to some other senators and such like that. But he has no experience for the county management position. He doesn't, minimal management. He has a staff of maybe 5, where there's 2,500 employees down there, $500 million budget. And yet, Scutari's forcing this on, and the freeholders are embracing it, and they're also being sued because they didn't even follow their own policies going through a proper interview process of you know, whoever wanted to respond. I don't know if anybody did. They didn't even reach out. All they did was take this guy Oakman, and they're putting him on as county manager. As the governing body, I think you should, by next week, have a resolution saying something is wrong here. I mean, I'm talking about corruption, and it's blatant. And we're talking about this guy who has no experience. They're giving him $160,000 as a salary just to pay his pension. I don't know who he is. I guess he's politically connected. Maybe attorney or not. I mean, he's obviously involved somehow getting letters from Barr. but anyway, I'm serious about this. I mean, now I'm pissed. And I'll tell you about the freeholder meeting. I'm going to lay into them too. Unfortunately, I missed the freeholder meeting like I missed the council meeting. You know, and that's the sad part. And you've listened to me before about the county. And I'll tell you, it's just amazing what they do, and they do not care about us, Garwood, or any of the other 21 towns. So this guy Oakman, whoever he is, some schmuck that they're pushing on as a county manager. Hey. Sorry, I apologize for the word I used. But I'll tell you right now, I'd like to really hear from the governing body about this, because I'm sure you're aware of this, because I've seen names in the newspaper and such.
I have no problem doing it for any kind of corruption, so I mean, put me on board for that.
Yeah.
Put me on board.
Yeah, I know, you and I think about it. Anybody else really want to say this? I mean, we're talking about some guy who's totally inexperienced.
Nobody else?
Well,
Nobody else? Everybody says no, it's no problem with the corruption?
Honestly, I won't sit here and say it's no problem. I was very disappointed when I found out how all that went about based on my readings, but.
Well, then you put it forward then, put it forward, that's 2.
Absolutely, I'm highly against corruption, and I condemn it completely. I don't know enough.
Right, maybe, Mayor, maybe we could put it to a committee even, because quite honestly, I don't know the county's policies, but I had heard that perhaps they were not followed, and that's very concerning to me. County manager. Laws and license?
Laws and license?
Okay.
We'll take
We're
that.
both on
We'll
that.
take that, Bruce.
Yeah, right now there's also a lawsuit about it. Some anonymous person actually. I don't know how an anonymous person.
Lawsuits should be flying over.
But it's just amazing what the county does, and you've been listening to me for years now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Can I pull a couple things, Mayor?
Okay.
Well, 065, I already got the answer to that, so that's no need to be pulled.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. I assume we're going to table 073 and 074 at this point.
Oh, yeah, and 075. That's it.
Don't table resolutions.
No. Just vote them down.
Just vote them down.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the amended consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Sarah, Remo, roll call.
Councilman Bigler?
Yes.
Councilman Mazza?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Sarno?
Aye.
Councilman Pacheco?
Aye.
Council President Blumenthal? Aye.
Mayor, before we move on, Mr. Renaud, did you get an answer about 18-073? I thought Mr. Mearstead was maybe giving you a copy.
Oh, I have it. You have a copy?
Of the statute?
That's where we going to the planning board?
31.
No.
I don't think it's appropriate to review now.
It's just simply.
Sure, that's how we're gonna.
Yeah.
No, I want to check on if, whether there's some requirement.
So you need more time.
That I'm not aware of.
So,
Yes.
all right, that's the bottom line, that's the bottom line. I just, you know, I share the public's frustration with the wheels of government turn slowly sometimes. That's 2 weeks.
Do you have a motion to, 18073?
Motion to adopt it.
Right.
No one makes it, Bob, no one makes a motion, it's just not gonna happen.
No one is moving that resolution, nothing happens with it. I guess it doesn't have a motion, doesn't have a second, nothing happens.
Okay,
We're just
nothing
gonna wait on
happens.
that.
18073, 18074. Do you have a motion on the resolution? Okay, moving on,
Wait,
1807.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not voting, okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
You're not gonna do anything except before? You should have voted now, I think. No? Oh, they just do that and sitting there too.
Well, there's a resolution that apparently nobody moved. I don't know what to suggest be done with it.
No action.
We'll move on to 18075.
This will be,
Do you have a motion for that resolution?
I'll make that motion, Matt.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Kugel?
No.
Councilman Lazaro?
Aye.
Councilman McCormick?
No.
Councilman Sarno?
Aye.
Councilwoman Fidisco?
Aye.
And Council President Blumenthal?
Aye.
Ms. Ariana, do you have any resolutions to lead it?
No.
Thank you. Any new business before the council this evening?
Just one point for clarification, because Councilman McCormick wanted me to make this just for the batting cages, that would be not a cost to the borough. He wanted me to clarify that, it would be the baseball league who would pay for it, so he asked me to clarify
There's a
that.
little bit of cost, right?
So, what insurance? The insurance potentially,
And
the
they would
contract, and
cover it.
the contract. As far as the actual construction, it would not be.
Okay. Ms. Ariana, payment of claims?
Be resolved, the following claims as approved being seen on here, where paper and properly signed and verified, the payment of bills and the here are confirmed and ratified.
Do you have a motion to adopt payment of claims?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Ariana.
Councilman Kugel?
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro? Councilman McCormick?
Aye.
Councilman Sarno?
Aye.
Councilwoman Fidisco?
Aye.
Council President Blumenthal?
Aye.
Move on to adjournment. The regular meeting of the mayor and council will be held on Tuesday, February 27, 2018, in council chambers at 7:15 p.m. Workshop session to start at 7 p.m. Do you have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Hey guys, can I get some,
Can I email to you? I've got to print a second.